All right, let's get started. We are going to start with our cube. So remember, you need your pencil, your eraser, and then whatever blending tool you're using, you're gonna wanna make sure you have that handy for this next step. So if you were using a ruler to draw your cube last time, you can use a ruler this time as well. It might help you get a straight shape. I recommend not making your shape too large. The smaller it is, the easier it's going to be for you to shade it. So let's start off with a cube. Okay, there's my cube. If you need a refresher, you can always flip back to the video from block 6 about how to draw the shapes, how to draw a cube, a rectangular prism, pyramid, cylinder, whatever it is you need, you can find it in that video or reference your sketchbook from that lesson. So now that I have my cube, what we need to decide is where is the light coming from? So remember those forms that you folded? This is where those forms come in handy because you can see in the video, if I'm holding it, I'll hold it without the word cube. If I'm holding it like this, because the light is coming from the ceiling, the top looks lighter than the side where there is a shadow. Okay, so you wanna try to grab your cube if you have it. It's going to help you when you're shading. So we wanna know where is your light coming from. We're going to say that the light is coming from above. So I'm gonna put a little arrow going this way super lightly, just to remind us that the light is coming from above. Now, if the light is coming from above, that means the side over here is going to be darker because the light is coming from above has to bend around the shape. So that's why this gets a little bit tricky. So let's start here with the top of our shape. Since the top of our cube is where the light is hitting it the most, that's gonna be our lightest area. On your value scale, we wanna stick to the 1s, 2s, and 3s of our value scale. So here I have a little bit of shading on the edge that's opposite my light. Light over here, opposite, other side. And I'm gonna start shading that in gently. Remember, you wanna stay in your 1s, 2s, and 3s area. Just like on our value scale, you can try going different directions. Now, as I get towards my light source, I'm gonna get lighter. Just like on your practice value scale. Go over it to make it darker, pressure up to make it lighter. Okay, so now that I've got some value on the top of my cube, it's time to blend it. On the first worksheet, I used the tortillion stump to blend. This time I'll use the Q-tip to show you that it's basically the same thing. So you're going to use that to spread your graphite and get an even, smooth surface across the surface of the top of your cube. All right, so there's the top of my cube. Now I'm going to work on the sides of my cube. We said this side is the darkest. So just like we stayed in our 1s, 2s, and 3s over here, we're gonna head over to those 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s for this side. This edge is going to be your darkest edge. So let's really darken that up. Then you're gonna darken this edge. That's gonna be your next darkest edge. All right, let's go from a 10, push, push, push. Okay, there's my 10. Now lighten up a little, bring it to a 9. Lighten it up to an 8, 7, remember to go multiple directions. All right, once you have some shading in there, You're going to use whichever blending tool you have. I'll switch it up this time to smooth out your graphite. Now, even though you're smoothing it out, you may notice that you have some extra graphite. Just take it and shake it like we've done with oil pastels. And if your edge gets a little fuzzy or blurry because of the blending, you can use your eraser to straighten up those edges, no problem. Okay, now I have the front of my cube. So on the front of my cube, the light is hitting it from the top, and then we are going to get a little bit lighter or darker when we add our different directions. So here, this edge, we're gonna stay pretty light. Moving down, get a little bit darker. Go different directions so it doesn't look scribbly. Darker towards the bottom. If you went out of your lines, you can always erase. And then use your blending tool to smooth it out. Now remember, if you went over a dark edge with your blending tool is gonna get a little bit messy. On the palm of your hand, you can clean it off by wiping it. Same thing with the Q-tip. You can just wipe it on the palm of your hand. Of course, you'll need to wash your hands later, but that will help you keep your blending tool kind of clean so that you don't end up like here where I had a little bit of a smudge from an area that was too dark. Okay, now to make it really pop, because our top is the light edge, we are going to be using our eraser to get that edge. So you want to use the edge of your eraser, and right along this line here, we want to add a highlight. Same thing along the back edge. We have the darkest edge here. Let's add a highlight. And there you have your 3D cube. The last thing to do is to add your shadow. So the light's coming from this way. The shadow is going to be over here. You can add a little shadow at the base of your shape. And then use your tool to blend. Now, if you're blending your shadow and you lose that bottom edge of your shape, kind of got blended in here, you can always darken it up to make a nice crisp bottom edge. And there's your cube.